here, but right about here, I was seeing schools of trout. Schools of trout that were about this big. And you can't get into this area very easily. I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, you could, but it's not, it hasn't.
How big is the river?
So let me show you the pictures. Well, it was fun. Yes, so this is July 16th. And I went with JC's his cousin. JC's his friend. And so this is Chocolate Meadows. Right here. And JC owns a bear sign, but that's about it. In here. So we just kind of, okay, we're going to be hanging out in the willows. All right. So this is the river. And that's his cousin. Kind of similar. It reminded me of your brother. And he's from Idaho. He's a teacher. He owns Dragonfly Art. And I just came here. Just on the edge of the river. So the next day we got up. I got in the water. And this one. And it starts to get into the class too. Now, he's really good. Well, this next one, that's Jason, the other guy. Yeah. He's really khaki. That's his stuff. And he's excellent. So.
Did you get enough skirts on?
I had a skirt, but I didn't put it on. And so by the time I got through it, my thing was flooded.
Sure.
But everything was fine. It was just,
Right.
we had one portage. This was it. The tree that was down. Yeah, so, no, just perfect. So you come down, and so this right here is right there. Yeah, so then.
Is that a one-day pool?
Yeah. So it's a Friday, Saturday. So you're driving up, you're backpacking in.
How far is your backpack?
This is 5 miles. 5 miles, you get 15 or 13, something like that. Well, so we then hit this, then you go back into this canyon. So this right here is open, and then you go into this canyon. And oh, it was so cool. And so then this right here is a rock slide area. So this is like right here. And we stopped, and this is like the only class 3. But I went, okay, that was serious stuff. But, we came down here. So this is,
That's great.
That's me. Jason's. And then we came down, parked, had it all on this whole side.
Water is crying for dragonflies.
So, it was so.
Did any of you fish?
We didn't bring it, but we didn't realize I didn't see things, but it's like, so that's.
Were you in a rush that day of floating? Could you have spent just a little bit here, a little bit there to
I think so.
fly fish a little bit?
I think I got back to Jackson about 3.
That is pretty. Honestly, I think you talked to me about that one. Hey, Dan.
Hello.
Where's she going?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Woohoo!
Spanish speaking.
Oh, Spanish.
Yeah.
Is she pumped? Does she know Spanish?
I see a little.
Poco.
A little. She took it in high school a bit, but yeah.
And now Senor Pat, I can say, see, I told you should have paid attention in my class.
So when did she leave?
She is leaving in April sometime. So she's got a little while. So she's probably going to figure out if she can stay up in Rexford and finish out the next semester before she goes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
When is her leave date?
I don't know.
My nephew opened his the 29th, and he reports the 27th
29th of what?
of November.
27th of December?
He goes Minneapolis.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Said, well, I could if I would have put it in when I should have. That's about the time I should have left.
There you go. It all works out.
Absolutely.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's pumped.
This is live now,
Okay.
so whatever conversations you want to have.
Have it to the world.
So,
That's cool.
yeah, but it's like, okay. The hell's your Friday?
Finishing the evaluation here in the job right now.
So, but I wonder.
Thursday.
Yeah. Well, this right here.
Freezing?
So this is.
Just gonna apologize to you, Austin, for almost running you and your mom.
I know,
Over the
but
other
it's
night.
over in the dark.
So this is what I did. So this is
That's Jared.
That's what the river's called in the Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
North Fork of the Buffalo.
That's okay.
Park interpreting that, I was like 5 miles. Oh, it's not. It's 10 miles. So it's divided. Class 3 wilderness. But then, what's it called? North Fork of the Buffalo.
Trying to survive.
Not learning.
No. I figured this would cover most of it.
God, and he looked at me like I'm going.
I tied my shoes, so.
So that's it.
I feel like this will be the last time, I swear. I'll just record myself giving a presentation and have nobody hit play. No. Whatever you're looking at. No, Coulter wants to go fishing.
the coolest thing Jameson and to know honor of mine, he's really got good at time flies.
Mhm.
He just really has passion for it. And now, I drive and I get out to the road, but a lot of times the guy just turns that passion. It's almost like he's
So let's go, yeah, so here's the south one. It's all- This is the North Forks Wild Derelict Road.
So John, is this defacing school property?
Absolutely. That's something that comes to scale.
Someone.
I just hate grizzly bears. I mean, I don't hate them, but I don't want to be eaten.
But,
I got to finish.
hey, you will stay through that.
Yeah, just
The
kidding.
amount of grizzly bears, we're gonna want people back for. Yeah, you can tell I'm the one just going down the bank, fishing, and I'm not fishing anymore. No, they'll see.
So did I tell you the Truman's bear experience? We had a VRBO on Blackfoot River just outside of, probably about 100 miles or south of Glacier.
This is why your dog wants to that.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy that way. So the beautiful home, we're sitting there and just out the back porch is Blackfoot River. And we've been fishing on it.
Testing 1, 2.
That walks away.
Testing 1, 2.
She didn't see it, but she scooped it up there and she started running. Everybody on the deck, which was about 50 yards away, 60 yards away, was like, they heard this just deep grunting coming from the mist. This is right where you can all be.
Thank you.
It scared me. It scared the kids out of me.
See what I mean? I'll be the one who gets hurt.
I did look at you and go, yeah, I can get
Yeah,
there.
then we can go back.
So here's the office financials right here.
Hey,
Where does that get plugged into?
So we'll put it into those cords.
We just take the one and, oh,
Yes.
okay.
They'll get it set up so that.
I assume Dave won't be here, so you should have to check.
Do I get a discount?
No, because the presentation still happened.
No.
Not today.
The question is when does the most of that matters?
So we're gonna end up, because they're meeting us this
So are you doing?
what we're doing best is,
and you back
so, just do this, just quick little, this has.
I'm happy
But more likely than not.
Yeah.
Students as a group.
Yeah, we know.
I've already sent you. I've already sent you.
So the BOCES.
That's kind of what I'm excited about. Finish the golf. You're around.
So they'll be ready in the next.
I mean, we are sad.
Because I want to go back. I'd like to go soon.
My daughter's going to school down there. Our oldest son and his family is in
And then,
only 5 hours from there. For right now, it's really good what I'm taking.
So I thought
It'll be
what's this about giving us Iris Farms?
she's the one that's really nice.
No, I don't.
Yeah, she's done this in the water.
stressed me out.
The first couple of things we were arguing.
Well, we talked about half an hour.
Oh,
I'd like to
time to talk, he's just so stressed.
I'd like to go to a snow shovel.
He's,
Yeah, our preference would have been Cedar City, but.
They have an executive session. Student discipline, salary, insurance.
Yeah.
sounds exciting. Sorry.
How you doing? Good, how you doing?
No, they usually in December vote to see if we want to reshuffle leadership. So that must be.
Well, the way houses are
Yeah, so
selling,
they're
that
one
we
night.
have-
Here, I'll go.
You know, I hope not. I mean, yeah, we could sell it tomorrow. Gotta get. And that might be, because it's on the higher end. I was talking to one realtor the other night. He says there's 22 houses on the market, 28 realtors. Because of that came out. You look at that, wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. If there's an adverse, I will let you know. The code department. Do you involve the drawing?
Yes. Although everyone will pronounce it. It's called she's done it a few times.
Okay, so
It's texted a few times. So we'll get about because we have to stay with the small variety. See, I could know.
Ours, it's every sure. And since it's, taking training. Where did you guys take the training to? Let's go check. Check our It's a training thing. It's not like reward. And you go with, she does this homework. So, she says, yes. So the first thing she does is twice.
Yeah. And then this is right.
What was happening? Two or three times, he was chasing on a machine. Is it something? Is it a machine?
Because you reach just big enough for
Is the work for
someone would be worth it.
Yeah. It's one of the most invest in stuff. So we did.
I said, what this? Well, was that a quick one? Yeah.
I know enough to, where she's going. That's all we got.
Where's she going? So she'll come back, country motor.
That's awesome. That's fun. That's fun. Tell her. How are you?
How are you, Joe?
How are you? I know.
Oh, I know what I was going to talk about in there.
Is Russell not coming tonight? He was sick. Holy moly. I just got done with it. Give yourself more leg space. Yes.
Oh, nice. Where'd you find it at?
It's up on the hoodoo where Craig's at.
Oh,
And Cody,
so who shot it?
3x6. It's a,
How are you?
Yeah.
It's a friend of his. It's been out to the ranch. He shot a couple animals.
First I thought it was Jarrett, and I was going, wow, because I knew he had the late hole
He
tag.
does have the late little tag. He's pretty stoked.
Again, I got the slippery.
You got the slippery wheelchair tonight?
If I end up down on the floor, pick me up.
Welcome, everyone. Sorry we're a little bit behind schedule tonight, but I do need to have a motion to exit executive session and reconvene in open session. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Cassie, second by Caleb. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll open the meeting tonight. Welcome, everybody. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Guess I can take my purse off.
Why, you're just leaving. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry.
The first item on the agenda is the board elections. Every year in December, we have to elect a new chair, vice chair, or whoever we want, I guess, for chair, vice chair, et cetera, clerk and treasurer. I do need to make a formal announcement tonight that as of the end of tonight, I guess first thing tomorrow, whatever you want to time it, tomorrow, I am officially vacating my seat and resigning. I have been offered and accepted a position with the city of St. George, and I'm moving. So I will no longer be living in the district as of next week. My husband will remain behind while we sell the house, so if you know anyone, holler. But anyway, so before we start the elections of the new chairs and vice chairs, just know I'm not on the list, so. Superintendent, how do you want to work this? We'll take nominations for the chair first, I think.
I understand nominations for the chair, and then whatever you vote, the chair will take over for the rest of the election.
That's it, correct. All right, do we have any nominations for chair?
I would nominate Cassie Torres.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, perfect. Cassie, are you accepting that nomination?
Sure, yes. Thank you. Surprising.
Do we have any other nominations? Okay, I don't hear any. All in favor of Cassie being the new chair, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Cassie, you're it. I'm vacating. And a thumbs up for thank you, Joel.
Okay. Well, I was not prepared for that.
Yes, but you've done it before.
I'm a little rusty. Are we moving to Jamie?
Yeah, you get to take over.
You have to take over
Officially,
now, you're
right
chair.
now.
I'll take that.
Well, enjoy yourself.
I'm gonna just come over here and sit in Joel's chair for now. But I don't have to go so far. I'll come back and get my bag.
I can sure grab it too if you want.
No, it's fine.
Sorry if this rest of the meeting seems a little disjointed. I haven't done this in a while. I want to thank, though, Jamie for all of her service and her time on the board. She has put in hours and hours and hours of effort, and she is beyond dedicated to this board. And I just want to give her a big round of applause. We really are going to
You're gonna make me cry, stop it.
That's okay, that's okay. I'm jealous that you're going to enjoy all that warm weather though. Okay, so next would be our nominations for vice chair. Is there any nominations for vice chair?
Dave Peterson. Second.
Okay. Okay, we have a first and a second. Any other nominations? Okay, would you accept?
Sure. Are you going to be here all the time? No, I accept. So, yeah, we're good.
Okay, so we'll go ahead. Do we need to vote? Or are we just good?
Unless anybody, we did vote on you.
We did?
Yeah, we said all in favor.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Sure, okay. So, Mr.
Thumbs up from
Peterson is our new vice chair. So down to our treasurer. Is there any nominations for our treasurer?
I nominate Jenny.
Second.
Can I nominate someone else?
No. You already pulled your nomination.
Caleb, second.
I'm playing that role tonight. Just second everything.
Okay, all in favor?
Wait, I didn't get to the
I was told there was no option. There was no option last time, so.
You want to throw somebody else out there, you can.
You can do it.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that nominations cease.
I second that.
Okay, nominations have
Thanks,
ceased.
Dan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
May.
Is accepted. So down for our clerk. Any nominations for our clerk?
I think Dan. I'll nominate Dan.
Okay.
Oh, your kind of
Second.
official is still on there.
I'm still
I know,
here.
I know you're still here.
Still on.
Second, okay.
Okay, a first and a second. Any other nominations?
Crickets.
Everybody's kind of thinking. Okay, all in favor for Mr. Wheeler being our clerk?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Got a thumbs up here.
Okay, great.
Tell Joel he's very lucky. Usually he who is
Yeah,
absent
he's
gets
not-
named.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, but there's another.
Well, there's one more item that we need to discuss for our appointments, though. And we need to appoint a new representative for our region, CBRV BOCES.
The Region 5 BOCES, yeah.
So,
That was you, right?
That was me, yes. I was on the Region 5 BOCES. They meet once a month, the last Wednesday of the month. It's usually fairly quick. But for a few minor emergency meetings, that's about all you need to do. So it's a fairly relatively easy gig. But
is it a video call, phone call?
yeah, it used to be conference calls, but now we're Zooming. We've, progressed, so.
That's our friend Dan Mayer.
And you're right, Dan is the director for BOCES 5, and you're dealing with not only CBRV up in Jackson, but a lot of the day schools, so Roosevelt and the one in Hudson and some of the other day schools like
And Hayden Peak.
Peak, right. So, for the special needs kids.
Okay. So is there anybody who would like to volunteer?
Anybody want to volunteer for
I'll
that?
ask on that one.
They have the Christmas party in Jackson sometimes when it's not COVID. It's fun.
I'm going to throw this out there, and you can say yay or nay. I think Dan Wheeler has done an absolutely fantastic job since he's come back to this community. But I know he's got a lot of irons in the fire. But I would like to nominate Dan to be part of that board, knowing that he's also involved with the BOCES up there with us right now, so. But that's the name that I'm throwing out there. If you don't want to do it, Dan, then I will withdraw my nomination, because I know you're a busy man.
Once a month.
Once a month, the last Wednesday of a month,
And you can go to
the
Jackson.
meetings usually are about 45 minutes long.
I'll do it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So then I nominate Dan Wheeler to be.
Okay.
I could do that.
I don't think he's going to have a lot of competition. Aye.
No, we'll gladly second,
Second.
Anybody want to second that?
Second.
Jamie.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Caleb
Thank
came
you,
out of
Dan.
this pretty unscathed, I think.
And you know what? I served on them. Wednesday nights I can't do.
Yeah.
No, I mean the whole election.
I'm sorry, I just seconded everything. I did my part, Jamie.
We've got an official rule, second.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone, and welcome all of our new officers. Let's go ahead and move on to our next item, which is to adopt our agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda, or do we need to make any modifications?
So moved.
Yeah. I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so motion passes.
Bill says aye.
Okay, so down to our consent agenda items. So we have our minutes, our payment of the bills, our extend COVID leave, special services, related service contracts, excess equipment and materials, and our bus lease financing bid. Is there a motion regarding our consent agenda items?
You beat me to it. Okay, I'll second again.
Okay, any discussion?
Madam Chair, I need to recuse myself from check number 00116878.
Okay, so noted, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, item passes. down to our presentations. We have our audit report.
Come on down.
Most excitement I've ever gotten.
This is just a pass-fail grade, isn't it?
Kind of.
Thank you. Yeah, if I can do that from home, I'm good. Yeah, is that
Madam Chair, members of the board, I present Michael Burton out of Decory and Company. Michael has been working on our audit. He has been with us for a few years, so it's not just this audit. He and his team have been, they come in August and do that, so.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, thanks for having me. I will try to take as much time as I can tonight. We're going to have 4 pages. So hopefully you guys were able to get the financials beforehand, have a chance to look over them if that's what you did in your spare time. So I have up the financial statements, and I'm going to go through just a few pages. You can follow along if you would like. So right now we're on page 3. This is the start of management's discussion and analysis. This is actually something that's prepared by John. What it does is it gives a quantitative and qualitative idea of the financial statements and kind of narrates the financials throughout the year. And if you're not able to get really into the financials, this is a great place to start. It talks about the financial highlights through the year, goes through some of the numbers, and ends at the very end talking about potential factors that could impact the district. So it's a pretty good read. And like I said, that's actually prepared by John. So next page is page 20.
I love it when you do this.
Oh, yeah, wow, that's speed
Seriously.
reading.
I'll keep bouncing around then. So, all right, so page 20, this is one of the most important numbers from your guys' standpoint, and we're talking about fund balance here.
Zoom in just a little bit.
So these numbers here, fund balance, this is going to be your general fund. So non-spendable, that's your inventories. You can't spend anything in that regard. These committed, there's instruction, maintenance, transportation. Those are amounts that are encumbered. You've already spent it, so you can't spend that. And then there's this number here, which is the unassigned. That is essentially the general fund's extra that it has out there. I won't go too into detail there, but that's the security or the safety net that the general fund has, and that's a pretty safe number. And I believe that actually increased from last year. So then you've got this next column would be the grants funds, and there's nothing in there. The next one is going to be the special reserve fund, and that's the new fund, and that's got the $650,000, which is used for the equipment and depreciation, things of that sort. And then there would be the CapCon, there's nothing in there, and then the last one here is major maintenance, and that money is restricted for major maintenance projects. So those are the big numbers on how your different funds are doing at year end. And next, we're actually going to go to page, I believe it's 81. This might be a little harder to find with it zoomed in. So this would probably be one of the most important documents if you have no time whatsoever to go through the financials. And this just gives an overall of all of the financial statements. So this section 1 is the summary of the auditor's reports. This first section is the financial statements. we'll just go line by line. The report of independent auditor expressed an unmodified opinion on the basic financial statements. That's the best opinion you guys can receive. Next item, the audit of the financial statements disclosed one significant deficiency in internal control, and I'll talk about that in just a minute.
Same one we get every year.
Same one, yes. That significant deficiency was not considered to be a material weakness. So the levels of issues, it goes significant deficiency, material weakness, and it's not a material weakness. And then there were no compliance findings material to the financial statements, and that includes budgetary compliance. And then the next page, so page 83, this is talking about the finding, the condition here, the size of the district staff is not large enough to permit a complete segregation of duties for an effective system of internal control over financial reporting. This is not a finding against the business office. This just means you don't have enough staff to have a complete set of reviews over everything that occurs from a day-to-day standpoint. Obviously, to have that size of a staff would be not cost effective. So, this is actually a finding that the partner of the firm believes almost every school district in Wyoming should have if they don't have it. So, the next area here is federal awards. Now, this is in regards to the single audit. A single audit is required when you spend more than $750,000 of federal money, which you will spend every year. In this regard, the report of independent auditor expressed an unmodified opinion on compliance for major programs, so that's as good as it gets. The audit identified no material weaknesses in internal control over major programs. The audit disclosed no compliance findings. And then the major programs that were audited this year was the Child Nutrition Cluster, as well as the Gear and CARES Act money. Your dollar threshold was the $750,000 that I talked about. This year, you guys qualified as a high-risk auditee. It wasn't anything you did. Because of the large amount of CARES Act money that you guys received, it automatically bumped you as a high risk when about a quarter of the federal money you have was a new program. That's what made you qualify as a high-risk auditee. Overall, the audit went extremely well. I enjoy working with John. He's very competent in regards to the accrual basis of accounting, which I don't often get, and I appreciate that. His staff were fantastic as well. We got everything we asked for very quickly, and had no issues in that regard. So, do you guys have any questions for me?
I don't.
Just glad we
Anybody
passed. You know,
Yep,
we have
yep.
no doubt about John.
Pass.
So, it was a pass, so. But,
Thank
all
you
right.
very much.
Yep, no
thank
problem.
you.
I won't take any more of your time, so.
No, thank you for being very
you.
concise with your results.
Exactly.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We'll approve that report later.
Okay. Okay, down to our EHS soccer football track renovation presentation.
You get to do this one tonight? Woohoo.
So, Madam Chair, members of the board, just kind of fill you in and update you with where we are. I know last board meeting, we kind of presented the global idea of where we were at, and we were waiting on our pricing. Our pricing has come in, and right now, it's a not-to-exceed price of right around $2.4 million.
That's for everything?
That is for the track
Okay.
and the field.
No lighting.
Okay.
Okay.
The lighting came in at a little over $400,000 that they proposed. We've got another bid for that, which came in roughly about $158,000. Now, because we're going through the BOCES program with the field and track, we will have to go out to bid for the lighting. I have already put that together. Just need to clean up a few things, and then based on the decisions that we make tonight, we'll go ahead and move forward with getting that bid out so that we can move forward with that as quickly as possible. There were some concerns that, as we've kind of talked about different things, one question came up, because I know we had a lot of different numbers coming at us back and forth, was what was the Northeast BOCES pricing? And as I was able to pull that, there is not a number attached to that bid. It just has the companies kind of bid it, and there's not an exact number. So that's kind of interesting in that regard. If you'd like some light reading, that's right here.
Weird.
But going through that, there is no actual numbers tied to that. As I sat down and visited with them, the pricing is what they're getting on their post-tension concrete. Comes in about what we were thinking. It's about $181, which is both companies, both Gladiator and Ellingford's, were coming in at about that same price. To get the cement from Park City, it would be $153, but then you've got truck charges and then you've got other things. To get it from Green River was about the same price. And so we feel there are some areas that we can continue to bring that number down. We will be having a meeting next week with FieldTurf to really kind of finalize some things in that regard. But at this point, that's what they've presented to us. I know we talked about the bleachers and also talked about a new press box. We're working on some pricing with that. They have not gotten back with me. I reached out again this morning, still have not gotten back with me, so we'll continue to press forward with that. We did meet 2 weeks ago, knowing that we needed to get a grading permit and kind of a look at our sewage, look at our stormwater drainage and all of that. And so we are going to procure the services of Brent to do that. He came in at a really good price, just over $10,000, I believe it was, which is really good for him to do that design so that we can have everything ready when the Searle brothers come in to do the removal. So, Dan, David, is there anything else you want to add through this?
So, I guess, are we looking to move forward with this tonight, or are we going to be able to have that meeting on the 16th and 17th and discuss some of the exclusions that they have? The other thing that kind of come up as I was looking through this, when I look at the proposed renovation drawing, it looks like it was the old original one. Now, are they deferring back to the original design? Are we not going to widen the track? Are we not going to add the...
They have not updated the... Oh, I sent you the wrong one. I apologize.
Okay.
There is another one, and I will get that out to you, that it's very similar, except they have brought in the outside lanes inside, and then they've got a starting bolt here, what I'll call on the south side, north side, and north.
Southwest.
Yeah, so that'll give you actually 3 areas for starting.
That was the area, that was the one I was referring to, if that was, or if they went back to what the original design. So it is that design. So there was, when as I was reading through there were some exemptions that were coming forward on this that obviously is going to increase the cost on our end. You know, some of that is because we want to do a quality control, quality type assurance type project. We want to make sure we're going to get what we're paying for. So we're going to have some kind of testing and oversight over this project that is excluded out of their cost. So that's something that we're going to have to look into as we move forward. So
definitely look at our cement testing, making sure that we're meeting. And I think as we
Densities,
meet with them
gradations.
next week, we need to have it agreed upon, hey, are we going to meet 4,000 PSI? Are we going to meet 37? Whatever that's agreed upon, then if it doesn't meet at that 30-day mark, then they will pull out what didn't meet and move forward. And if we can have both sides agree to that, whether it's next week's meeting or before we really begin, then everybody knows at the front end, this is exactly where that cement has to come in at. and they've got 30 days. Now, if the cement companies want to do their own testing, that's fine, that's up to them, but we will do the 30-day mark, and if it doesn't come in at that 37, 39, whatever we determine in there, then that's what we'll go for. So, and that will be an extra cost in talking, probably looking at about $5,000 to have that, but I think to protect the district.
That's cheap insurance.
And it's really cheap insurance for what we're wanting to do.
Madam Chair, members of the board, to answer Mr. Peterson's question about what action we're going to take tonight. As we've talked about this over the last couple of months, the recommendation has been, of course, a field and a track, and then potentially the berm. Really, it's as much as we can do within the amount of money we're willing to spend. And I think we still move forward with the concept is not to exceed $3 million. And the reason why we're comfortable with that is because you saw our carryover.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Plan to spend down $1 million. If the board decides it, let's repay $1 million and then work on the other $1 million coming out of major maintenance and savings to the district. So really, we're committing to $3 million and not to exceed that. There's a lot of other things I'd like to see if we could get done within that $3 million, but that $3 million also contains a contingency in case we have some expenses that we don't negotiate.
Unforeseeable.
But timing on this is critical.
Oh, I agree.
We want to get these things done. We need to make sure we're comfortable before we okay with field turf, but we need to do that, I think, before the next meeting.
Yep.
So I will be recommending that we approve an amount not to exceed $3 million.
Well, and that, Dave asked my question because on their 2.3 million bid, there were a lot of things that weren't included. And the construction testing is the one that sort of stood out for me. So I think that, that needs to be discussed, but yeah. I mean, if we can do the whole project for $3 million.
It is such a small item compared to the 2.4, granted, I mean, it's a $5,000 bid item probably to
But like
do
the
your quality
permit
control.
fees and all that other kind of
But-
stuff that they're exempting out, yeah.
Yeah, there's some exemptions that I'd like to discuss with them just a little bit. But I mean, as long as we're not approving the contract for the 2.4 to them, as long as we're just approving the $3 million to move forward, and then we can go that direction, and then we can discuss those items with them next week, and we can have a heart-to-heart on what their exclusions are. And then at that point, come up with a bid the contract for them.
Really what you're doing is you're authorizing the district to spend
okay.
$3 million. But those approvals will not come from me, but I definitely listen to the group of individuals that will be doing the filter. I do think we should have a construction manager, and we look at that through this project, just to make sure that we're interested.
We learned the hard way.
Well, we've batted 1,000, so we do need a construction manager. But like I said, we do have, I think, some leverage to maybe bring some of these costs down. We're willing to pay for the materials as soon as we okay this contract, which would mean if the turf actually costs $800,000, we own that turf, they can put it in a warehouse, we're not subject to increased costs over the next 6 to 8 months. We probably can't buy dirt or rock. I think that was one of their concerns, that are they going to be able to get the materials they need? I wish we could and just tell them to put that rock on that side somewhere. This also sets us up to whenever we can get the dirt work done, we're ready. We're not going to keep volunteers away from the project. We will have, as Jaron mentioned, the grading plan and the stormwater plan, which will be necessary for us to get permits. So it's been a long time waiting for this. I think financially, with what's happening with other federal funds, it puts us in a pretty good position to be able to spend $3 million.
Just to echo Ryan, I like the idea of the project manager / construction manager. Every time that we meet for the next couple months, I'd like to propose that they would give us a cost to date and how it aligns with their budget. Just so every board meeting we know that we're hitting our key points, key dates, and that we're on schedule. So when we get selected good project managers, they are going to be accountable to those budgets as we move forward. Because this is taxpayer money, this is public money. We got to make sure we're responsible with it.
Appreciate that, Joel. And the other thing that we'll be doing is we're going to hold them tight to a timeline. I can't have a loose timeline with what they put together. So that'll be a discussion item that we'll talk about next week. Of what is that timeline? Where are we, again, coordinating with our project manager? How are things moving forward? Because as we've seen in other projects, not that we'll ever get our money back, but it is nice to be able to say, look, we're going to withhold 10% until, or 20%, whatever is determined, until we get this done and it's done correctly with that. And so having a good timeline and having kind of project updates really keeps us on track, keeps the contractor on track for this. And so I think it can be done in the amount of time that they are saying it can be done. But to Superintendent Thomas's point, I think the sooner that we can give them the go-ahead to begin, then it puts it on the calendar. The nice thing is, as we talked to them the other day, is our track folks are willing to give up the track this season, which is huge, and being able to allow them to get in April instead of June.
And just to add to that, to make sure everyone understands, is we are going to add runways and pits at Evanston Middle School, so our track kids can still practice. They just won't be able to have a home track. And they are running on asphalt, but I guess it's better than cinders. Some of us used to run on.
You had talked about resurfacing that, right?
We looked at that. Unfortunately, with the timing of all of this, they were not able to, they shut asphalt down 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so they weren't able to do it. And by the time they're able to do it, we're going to have kids on there. So at this point, we're not going to do that overlay. We have began the process down at EMS. If you see people working, they're already starting those pits because we've been so fortunate with our winter weather. Those will be done within the next couple weeks. And we'll have that ready for spring instead of
The fact that
saying-
you were laying asphalt until 2 weeks ago is astounding.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. Except for where you're going, they do it all year.
That's true. That's true.
So,
Don't worry about it.
are there any questions that you have as we move forward? If any of you would like to, participate, we're going to meet next Thursday, kind of a pre-meeting before we meet with Ellis and kind of go over some other things. But we, as a board, we'd love any of you to participate, kind of be a part of this. Dan, Dave, if you have anything else to add to this.
Well, I'm glad I got a little more time to look at things. So, before we meet next Thursday, I will actually dive into some of their exclusions and kind of to see why
Give me a
and justify
call.
that, so.
Brent and I kind of went through some things last week.
Okay.
And then talked to Miles on the phone to kind of get some things so that I felt a little bit more comfortable with that new number.
Okay.
Because at first it was just $613,000 for post-tension concrete. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
where's that coming in?
Break that
at?
down a
What
little
was
bit more. Yeah,
The
just work
price.
that
And
out.
so, there's a number on our French drains that right now I've got Brent looking to see, hey, do we have adequate drainage right now with what we have? So are we able to bring this number down a little bit? I was curious about what the other concrete, what did that constitute? Well, we've got retaining walls, we've got where
Your runways.
the runways and all of that. So there was some questions that we had that I still think that we can do. We've got $167,000 in demolition fees that I think we might be able to bring down a little bit more depending on how quickly the work goes with Searle Brothers. We might be able to get them at least to do a couple passes that brings that down a little bit further. And so I think, as we look at that number of about 2.4, I think we can bring that down a little bit more, offering them, hey, here's all the money to buy the materials up front. Can we get another 5% discount? I think there's some ways that we can continue to bring those numbers down.
Jared, do you want to just take a minute for the people that have not been privy to this? This is either the first time that they're hearing about it, and kind of explain the relationship with Searle Brothers and exactly what they're going to do, and if people have noticed that there's been some work already done. So
we've got the Searle Brothers who have been willing to donate time, equipment to remove the berm on the southeast, or the northeast side of the track. Now, if you were to actually get up there and look at that berm, when they remove it, it's actually going to put the track and the top fence that separates the school and the church, that's about the level that that's going to be. So, you know, some people wonder, hey, what's that going to do to the property where the church is? Is that going to take that hill down? It's actually surprising, just that berm alone, in most places, is going to come even to where the current fence is that separates our property and the track. So just that berm's going to open that up. With that open space, we will be able to put our running, as far as our long jump, triple jump, and pole vault area right there, then create a really nice ADA walking path from basically the jock lot all the way up where it'll meet right there, pretty close to the existing restrooms and concession stand. So what Sorrell Brothers has been willing to do is donate their time and material, their equipment, to remove that berm. And then on the west side, right behind the current press box, there's another berm where we actually have another jumping area. And we're going to be able to grade that down as well and kind of flatten that out. So that is really, really generous. It's going to open that up, make it feel a lot more open. So what we've done in preparation for that already, unfortunately we had to take down the trees that were there on that berm. We hired 5 to come in and remove the existing steps and the sidewalk from those steps to the restrooms at this time. So everything is ready so that when Sorrell Brothers is ready, they can come in and be able to remove that. Also, all of that dirt is going to then be put on the south side where the practice field is. We're going to kind of grade that out and be able to move that dirt there, which will be really nice for us in the future if we ever decide to continue to expand onto that property. The hard thing with that property, as you well know, is we do have that pipeline that goes through it. So you can't put anything structurally there, but we could put fields and our parking lots over in that area. So that is, like I said, a really nice donation that they're willing to make at this time. I know when we were first talking about this, we were hoping that Pepsi would donate. At this point, Pepsi is not willing to enter into that conversation. Hopefully we can come back to that and see what we can do for that, but that donation at this point is not going to be able to be applied for.
Can you explain to us why that was not offered to us?
I can. All those years ago when they donated the lights, we had pop machines in our schools. And I have a feeling that we sold a lot of Pepsi products. And we opened it up to Coke and Pepsi won, I guess, the bid. They donated for the lights. That's what got us our lights. Since then, the federal regulations on what we can serve during lunch has shut those machines down. And there's not a lot of Pepsi products flowing through our cafeteria anymore. It's nice that Pepsi is willing to donate anything, and I appreciate that. And again, I appreciate more that we are following the federal school lunch guidelines and providing healthy meals for kids.
Guess I'll keep drinking my Diet Coke.
So we haven't approached Coke yet. See if they...
So we will take those funds graciously donated through food service to help.
She's giving you the stinker over there, Jared.
I think so.
So, but great question.
Yeah, I just have another, for just FYI, is that if we can get on their calendar and can start construction sometime in April, then we should be through for the fall. That Army track, and just soccer, obviously, but for the school year of 2022 and 2023, it'll be done, and we'll be ready to go.
What I would like to propose as we go into our meeting next week is they need to have at least the turf completed by the 15th of August.
Yeah.
With the track and everything else being done no later than the 30th of August. Would be my proposal to be able to complete that. If we actually did that, that would be the first time in our district's history
Knocking on wood, Jared.
of a project going that smoothly. But that would then be, wouldn't create any delays for our football team and our football season, and it also wouldn't create any delays for anything else going on in the track,
2023, we'll have soccer in our stadium.
Yes, yep,
Exciting.
yep.
which would be great. Any other questions with this? I know there's a lot. There'll be a lot going on. But please, if you have questions, right now, like I said, we've got Mr. Peterson and Mr. Wheeler who are serving and on this committee. If anybody else wants to join that committee, as long as we keep it under 4. So we're not breaking any other rules, that would be wonderful. So we're going to meet on the 16th, so if anybody wants to know, just let me know, and I'll throw that out there. If you have time to meet,
Okay.
we'll get you out of school and
I would not be against that. I should say that at a board meeting.
might be good to have some student representation at that time if you feel.
Definitely.
Okay,
Okay, well, thank you so much. I don't think we
Jared,
have
thank you.
anything else.
Thanks, Jared.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Jaron, Michael said he can't get on to the meeting. Are you streaming it?
I denied him.
Oh, okay.
I will text him the link to make sure.
Okay.
It was,
Well, he usually
it
gets
was
on, so-
working until I stepped up here, so maybe it stopped. So I would go double check.
Yeah, maybe it's just those linked to the board that can't get on. My wife can't get you.
Oh, serious?
Okay. Well, we'll get that hopefully fixed soon. So down to our school
We need
reports.
to make a motion for that.
Anybody want to share?
I don't think that. That was presentations, but it's not an action item. We'll get down to the action items down there.
I'm Chad Hamilton, I'm the principal at Horizon. I'll make it pretty quick. I just wanted to share some positive news. The Bear River State Park had a logo contest a couple weeks ago for a new logo, and our art class entered. I encouraged them to, and I'm pleased to announce that 2 of our students won. One the logo contest, Natalie Fleur, and another one of our students, Emily Cornell, took 2nd place.
That's great.
So that was
Awesome.
something we learned this week that was pretty exciting, and I just wanted to share that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's great.
Chairman of the board, board members. So Mrs. Hatch, who is our Title I coordinator at our school, she applied for, it's called a busload of books, applied for it, and they choose one Title I school throughout the country, and North was chosen for Wyoming. Now, they won't arrive until May of 2023, but we did get it.
You got a busload of books coming.
We'll take it.
Yeah, so we're given an estimated how many students we have now, and then we'll up it, because it could be, who knows, way less or way more when they get here. But it really is 2 authors. One is an author, the other one's an illustrator, and they're just going to live in a bus, and they're just having books delivered to schools, and they just will travel around the United States, go into every state. And so that was a great, for us, it's getting kids, more books in kids' hands. So that's, thank you, Mrs. Hatch, for doing that as well. And Jamie, thank you for your service and for what you've done for our school district. A lot of times it's not easy up here, but you represented us well, so thank you. As well as the rest of the board members, thank you for your service and for taking the direction that Superintendent Thomas, as well as us administrators, look into and really trying to improve our student learning as we move further and further in the direction of all students learning at high levels. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing. I love it when we have people jump up.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Madam Chair, congratulations. Quit crying.
I know. Quit saying nice things.
I just wanted to report that I appreciate what the district is doing as far as working with those outside of the district to help us improve our education within the schools. Just to give a quick report, Tammy Beebe Schwartz and Lori Ivy have been helping me with literacy this year at EMS. And they've spent a lot of time going into the classroom, seeing what's going on and such, and leading us in a direction that ties in with our district's goals and with Marsano and our evaluation model and such. And with that, we've been starting meetings out saying, okay, where do we want to start? Well, I just want to report we're going to start at the 6th grade level with ELA. And we've got 2 brand new teachers there. One's a 15-year veteran already, but the other one is a brand new teacher. And then we're working in conjunction with DMS and their teachers there. And also with our special ed teachers. So we're going to come together and we're going to do our first data report, I guess, from the different testing that they're doing. Their in-class testing, YTOP testing, and then they did another one this year called M-Class. And with the M-Class, it's helping us see where they're weak in their reading skills and at least have a starting point there and see what we can do to bridge that gap with them as 6th graders. As we see how this goes and as we continue to improve, hopefully we hope to move it into 7th and 8th. But I just wanted to give a report that the money that our district is spending on these outside consultants and helpers is money well spent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I did want to briefly let you guys know, last year the state of Wyoming, the WD contacted us to jump on board with the grant through Project Aware, through SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Awareness. I think I've got way too many acronyms cruising through my brain. We were awarded that through the state. We did not write the grant, but the state had us join the cohort, the second cohort. We're the 6th school district thus far that's been invited to join. And what that does is it brings to every building at UNT County, one mental health teletherapy to each of the buildings through CWCC out of Casper. And as I brought various groups of counselors and social workers and our admin teams, we all were like, yes, let's do that for sure. So this grant ensures for the next roughly 4.5 years that we'll have approximately $430,000 a year to provide these services.
That's great.
Through the grant, we were able to hire an individual and I think they're going to be, so I won't jump that gun, but hire an individual that we are going to be proposing manage this, and the resources that it will bring to these students that are in some sort of situation that requires and really demands some attention to their mental health well-being is going to be a huge asset to UNT County 1 for the next several years. And hopefully, as we continue to increase this, it'll be around for the next 10 or so years is our plan. There's a lot of kiddos out there and their families that are struggling, and life is maybe a little, I don't know, life's hard for everybody, but we've got some kids out there that are struggling that we're going to be able to identify and get them more help than they may otherwise have left to their own resources on their own. So we're excited to bring that into our community and appreciate the support that we always receive from you all on our board and from our admin team and our superintendents to ensuring that we're bringing absolutely everything we can for our kids to the table, especially when it revolves around their social emotional well-being. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Wonderful. Love to hear that. Thank you.
I think it's great news.
Yes.
Very excited about that.
Yes. Anybody else have anything for school reports tonight? No? Okay, thank you for those who shared. Let's go ahead and move on to our discussion items. Our first item up for discussion tonight is our property insurance renewal.
Madam Chair, members of the board, early November, I had a 50% increase in property insurance, and that was a sizable amount of money. As the memo shows, the quote that I was given went from $237,000 to $358,000. So I went and searched for, and went back to our broker and said, hey, we got to do better. And we did find insurance policy that will insure for the property and other educators, sexual molestation,
Just all the general liability.
cyber liability, all of those things that we have, in the amount of $284,492. That is a 20% increase. I think what's happening is it's not anything that's we're doing. The amount of risk that we have been insured for is not based on alone on the amount of claims that we've had, but rather these insurance companies are starting to look at the industry, and so that's what I was told, that our original company, why they jumped 50%. So I've got a policy from Gladfelter for $284,000, and I ask that you approve it. It will be effective January 1st. Do you have any questions?
I'm glad you found something we can do a little better on. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks,
John.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item for discussion is our ARP fund stakeholder input.
Let me see if I can find this and get it on.
Okay.
Did you take my paper?
I didn't take your paper. Well, I may have taken your paper and given it to you.
Oh, here, sorry.
I don't know.
Which one?
Are these yours or his? I don't know.
She's leaving her
I
mind.
think those are his.
Okay.
I stole his. Sorry, Dave. I did it.
No, we're good.
I don't know.
My brain doesn't work all the time, so if I do something.
Joel, you're going to be on the big screen with my screen. Okay. Madam Chair, members of the board, you know what I'm really excited about is I can say Madam Chair again. For 8 years.
A little hard
Madam Chair.
one night.
You struggled.
You were the last man.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm going to spend just a few minutes and talk about the Esser Art Fund. And put this in perspective, one of the big parts of this fund that's different than the other Esser funds we've received is we have to have meaningful consultation with all stakeholders. So this is the start of that tonight. So publicly we're sharing this, and I'll kind of get into how we're going to get that meaningful consultation. It's unique. Just a quick reminder, the Art Esser...
No, that's what I was going to say. Could you please define the different pots of money that we have? But because as we're talking the field and then we're talking about this, I want just complete clarity of where these funds are coming
Yes,
from.
this is another extension of the rescue plan. That's where ARC comes from. It's American Rescue Plan. It's the last pot of federal funds that were approved. The Esser is for elementary and secondary school rescue efforts.
It's all COVID
So-
money.
Yes.
So far in this is Esser 3, so we've had 3 streams of money. CARES, Esser 1, which was roughly $900,000, that's why you saw the audit. We spent that starting in March of 2020. Basically, it went to food service, cleaning supplies, technology to allow us to get up and running, virtual education. That's where those funds went. Well spent, I believe, we spent those funds. Esser 2 is $3.5 million. And Esser 2, if you recall our discussions at the budget session, we used about $1.5 million of those in a 3-year, we have 3 years to spend it. We spent that on a custodian at every building to do sanitation. Our school nurses, we added a nurse. Technology to keep us going, and some PP&E. There's no way you can spend $1.5 million on masks, but we need to provide supplies. The key to that is we were able to save those funds that would typically go to those groups, and we applied them toward salaries and benefits. I'll get a little bit more about that. Esser 3 is the latest round. We came active in late October. We're in the process of putting a plan together with that. Like I said, there has to be meaningful consultation. Esser 3 is a significant pot of money. You can see up there that it is $7.9 million. And we also have 3 years to expend that money. Based on the same, let's call them rules and conditions of Esser 1, 2, and now Esser 3. Bottom line with these funds is they are funds because of the impact of COVID. We're unique. We really are in terms of these funds. Wyoming, they were in school all last year. We were in school all last year. Most school districts in the nation were not. So our recovery is much different than other school districts. We put money into our recovery early in really the summer of 2020. So we're in a much different position than other school districts. So we need to use these funds differently. Still, we're seeing some dramatic impacts of COVID, and hopefully we can use these funds to overcome some of those. Number one, there has been learning loss. And I would say mostly specific to those that have chosen to go online and then return back to in-person, and we'll work with those individuals. The key for us is last year we actually saw an increase in our academic performance. And I think part of that was the few short weeks we took off when kids came back in August of 2020. They worked hard and they enjoyed the interaction with each other. So we're in a different place. You can see on this paragraph, with the ARP funds, there is a 20% set aside. That 20% set aside is for students that are underrepresented. And you can kind of see that 20% of that grant is basically $1.6 million. So they set that aside. They've identified that as summer school and after-school programs or extended day programs. Well, in our district, we have healthy programs running already. So we can use those funds to not only pay for the programs we have, but to improve them, especially extended day. So that's what we'll be working on. But that's a set aside of 20%. That means there's 80% to spend on all of these other categories. The next paragraph I want to talk about is this paragraph here. Requires that Uinta County School District Number 1 engage in meaningful consultation with stakeholders to seek input on how these federal funds should be spent. These funds are unprecedented and can be transformative for our students and staff. So we want input from all groups, including the board, including our administration, including our staff, including parents, including students, including community members and community partners. By community partners, I mean those that work typically with our special needs population. The grant is very tailored to that. So we look forward to their input. How we're going to do that is starting in the next week or so, we already have surveys in place. They're not really surveys, they're gathering information that will be sent to our staff, sent to our parents, sent to the community, and basically soliciting feedback. The challenge with that is we need to give them a little bit of education in terms of what the money can be spent on. And the idea that we have 3 pots of money now that potentially lead to a cliff. We took a risk and put some money into salaries and benefits, and we'll have to watch that very closely as we approach that 2024 date. The other key to these funds that I believe is legislatively that our carryover is allowed to expand from 15% to 30%. Without that, when we hit that cliff, we'll potentially be in trouble. So that is legislation already proposed, and we definitely want to support that. 30% would be fantastic. Unlimited would even be better. The reason for that is, as I mentioned, is as we spend ESSER 3 funds on programs we're spending general fund money on, that general fund money can stay in reserve for a rainy day, which would be in 2024. Unfortunately, the bad news in all this is we've already found out that the cost of living adjustments that are typically built into the model have been removed in the appropriation committee. So we're on our own, even though there's a $1.2 billion excess in the school.
Yeah, we have a surplus this year.
Yeah, 1.2 billion. So anyway, okay, so as I mentioned, we'll survey the staff. I'll probably do a quick video and explain these categories. These are the 13 categories where we can spend them. Again, this is...
So you're going to do another podcast, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these were put together by individuals in the government that probably have nothing to do with education. Some of them are hard to understand, some of them are not. So the first category, and I'm just going to go quickly, employing existing or hiring new staff. The grant is pretty clear that we can use it to maintain operations and continuation of services with existing staff and hire new staff if we need to. But again, the challenge of hiring new staff is we'd only be able to keep them for
3 years.
So we have to be careful with that. But it will allow us for the next 3 years maybe to put a big punch into those kids that are below grade level. Probably shouldn't have said punch, but you know what I mean.
Words matter.
Additional support.
Summer school and after-school programs, again, we have healthy programs. That's probably represents the 20% set aside. Preparedness and response, this is our ability to work with local and state agencies in preparation for COVID. At this point where we are is we're almost back to normal. We do have kids and staff that are continuing getting sick, but the numbers are low, which we're so lucky. But that's funds that can be used to coordinate and
It's holidays,
improve
right, and you're going to get a
preparedness.
surge.
Staff training on cleaning and prevention. If you think about that, let's spend $7.9 million on how to train our staff to keep themselves clean. Probably, again, but it's a category there. I think that's probably more specifically for sanitizing and keeping rooms clean with our custodians. We did purchase a lot of equipment in 2020 that we use constantly. Cleaning supplies and PP&E, again, we purchased through the previous grants a lot of PP&E, and we'll continue to be prepared in case something more significant happens. School facilities, facility repairs and improvements. One of the things that have already been suggested by administration is to improve our security systems, and so we'll be looking at that.
Get those
through this
physical
grant.
changes made that we wanted to do.
Addressing needs of students, I hope this is one that's selected. This is, I think, the key to really how to use this money effectively, is address the unique needs of students from low-income families. In our community, when we think of students that are not served at an equal rate, typically it's poverty that we have to find an answer to, and that's a hard one. But summer school, extended day, those kind of programs help. Also our ELL population, homeless students, and foster care students. So those are special needs of kids. Improving indoor air quality, I think this is a great idea, but with a caution. We've already looked into improving some of our air systems. $7.9 million isn't even the starting point to upgrade those air systems. But can we mitigate in other ways? We'll look into that. But there's no way we can, for example, the high school, if you've been there, those air ducts are bigger than I am. And terms of how you provide ultraviolet, it would just be so expensive. But again, hopefully we can use it in other ways. Long-term closure preparation, well, our plan is not to close again. So again, that's where funds can be used. Purchasing educational technology, we've already done that in Esser 1 and Esser 2. It's a pretty effective way because now we can go hardware and software, and those funds that would typically come out of the general fund can be kept in reserve if we get above 15%. Academic learning loss is really, that's the key to all of this Esser funds, to look at students who are below grade level and are struggling because of, and you can see it, attendance, challenges of online learning and other issues related to COVID-19. And I miss mental health services and supports. To me, the number one thing that helps our kids socially, emotionally, mentally, and academically are the classroom teachers. And we hire quality classroom teachers, and we're allowed to have activities and supports. That's how we build those social, emotional strengths in our school district. You already heard Matt has received, the district has received a mental health grant, which is significant, over 4 years, and will help in that area, but we'll continue to look how we can help students in that area. And the last one is just other activities as needed that are necessary to maintain operation and continuity of and services with the local school district. So to me, that's fairly wide open. But one thing, the grant, when you get into the weeds with it, it's pretty clear you can't be extreme. You have to be reasonable in these purchases. And we will have to defend every purchase. And like I said, the plan is to open this up for input for probably the next 2 or 3 weeks. Have an open house, I don't know what else to call it, in January to invite people to come in. We'll share the results. We'll talk about how these funds can potentially be approved or used, excuse me. We have to submit our plan to WDE by the 19th of January. So it comes fairly quickly. We don't have to expend the funds by then. We just have to have the plan in place with a budget associated. So our plan is to have the budget actually submitted totally through our GMS system, not just the plan. We'll have it all done at the same time with significant, meaningful consultation with all stakeholders. In a short amount of time, that's a lot of work, but it's a lot of money. $7.9 million.
Got to get the word out there.
Yeah. So if you put that together with our 3.5, we have to spend over $10 million in 3 years. I have to spend money like that.
It's one of the problems I have.
We can do it.
Yeah, we can do it.
That's the attitude we like, man.
So for the community, look forward to those links. We'll actually can push out the links to our parents and our students. It will be on our website for our community. We'll actually send invitations to the community partners to get their input, and hopefully we'll get some meaningful input.
I hope so too.
Fantastic.
Anybody have any questions or any other discussion items on that one? Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on to our next discussion item, which is our board vacancy procedures.
Madam Chair, members of the board, just a quick review of kind of the timeline. Tomorrow, we'll actually put it in the paper for, I think, 5 times. The notice of vacancy, requesting letters of interest application. We'll accept those until the 3rd of January. On the 4th of January, I recommend that we have a executive session. That's a normal, regular session, but I recommend that we change that to an executive session to interview board candidates. We have 30 days from notice of resignation to replace that position. That position will be the remaining part of Jamie's term until the next election, which will be in November.
Next general election, yep.
Yes, and then there'll be 1 seat on that general election for a 2-year term to finish the rest of her term. So we'll have 5 open and 1 for 2 years. 5 4 years and 1 2 years, if that makes sense. So I recommend that on the 4th, we have an executive session to interview the candidates. Name the appointee that night, and then January 11th, we have our regular board meeting, and they'll take the oath of office at that time. That will also give us time to look at the ARP data so we can present it to the board.
Okay.
Again, the final decision-making in that ARP is truly the board. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
I think that's all we've got for
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Okay, anybody have any questions on that?
Sorry, Joel, I did have that written somewhere.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Let's go ahead and move on to our board meeting schedule for the year 2022 to 2023.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we do have a schedule that's in your packets for 22-23. It's basically following the same guidelines that we have put the last 6 years, I guess. My recommendation is let's wait until the 11th to approve this, and then you guys can have the discussion about if you want to make any changes.
Okay.
With the new board member.
Okay.
Is that, so we'll just table this when it gets to
Table that one till then. Good.
Yeah,
That's okay. Unless you guys want to say, no, we're good with the one you have, it's kind of up to you.
I guess we can talk about that in our action items.
Yep.
Okay, so we're done with our discussion items. Now we'll open it up to public comments. Are there any public comments for tonight? You want to say anything? You're the only other one here.
You have the perfect opportunity to go. I mean, you are it. I'm looking out there. You are the man.
I want to know, what are you doing for the next 12 months? Because I think we have a job we can fill.
Oh, as long as that house is here.
Yeah.
No, I'd like him to come down with me as soon as possible. Thank you.
Stop thinking about
Okay,
yourself.
sounds good.
It is a little selfish.
Okay, with no public comments tonight, we'll go ahead and move on to our action items. Our first action item for tonight is for personnel.
Let me find that if I can. I know I had it somewhere. Madam Chair, members of the board, we recommend that you approve the contract for Eric. Can I see his last name?
Williams. There's a lot of enough Williams around here, so.
Eric Williams. Eric, this position is the position that was created by that grant. Mr. Williams is an experienced special ed teacher, and actually, I believe he was a director for a while, wasn't he? No? Different. Okay. So, we're lucky that he's decided to join us, went through an interview process and was selected. So we recommend that you approve that contract.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I will move that we approve the contract of Eric Williams as presented. Second.
Discussion. Question. On this, and if it is a 3-year grant and then we lose the grant, will this individual be considered tenured?
No.
Okay. Okay. That answers my question.
It's 4.5 years, and in speaking with the WDE, again, this is pie in the sky, but there is the opportunity, if all goes well, that this will be an ongoing, but we are guaranteed for the next at least 4.5 years.
Okay.
Non-tenured.
Non-tenured, okay.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussions, questions? Okay, I got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion approved. And we have a couple other.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, I recommend that we approve Hoffman Insurance Services as our agent of record for our health insurance. Mr. Hoffman submitted a quality bid. You can see the amounts there, and very reasonable, actually, kind of where we are currently. So
Did we get any other bids?
we did not.
Okay.
And so I appreciate Mr. Hoffman's response, and probably more than just his response is the services he provides our employees. He does a great job. So we recommend that you approve his contract for another 3 years.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion regarding the Hoffman insurance contract.
So moved. Second.
Second.
We'll take Joel.
I think, Joel, you're on delay,
Would that be a third?
so you can cut him if he's swearing up there, so.
Any discussion?
Cut away.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We have also the fund allocation.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, this last one is actually allocations of ARP, Esser 3 funds. I already mentioned in the discussion that 20% of our grant has been set aside for students with underrepresented needs. My recommendation and the recommendation of the administrative team is that we spend roughly 23% of this grant on existing staff. This would be a retention stabilization payment. If you think of COVID and the challenges that we've had with COVID, the champions for us have been our staff, all of them, from the bus drivers to food service to our teachers to our administrators. They have championed us through this. We put them at risk in June of 2020 before anyone else was back in service. We had summer school, and we haven't missed a step from that point. And these funds, in terms of American Recovery Plan, this would allow our staff, with all the things that are going on with COVID, to recover, stabilize. And the way we've set this up is that it becomes a retention plan for those who choose to stay with the district. I guess the effectiveness of that will be determined by the individuals themselves. So what I'm recommending, Madam Chair, as you can see it up there, is that there would be a payment of $1,000 for all full-time, I got the...
For all staff.
For all staff.
All staff, and you guys have the sheet for that.
We do.
For all staff, so December 15th, $1,000 payment for all staff. March 18th, at the end of the third quarter, there'd be another $1,000 payment for all staff. August 29th, that's our first day of school, so those that retain their services and stay with us, there'd be a $1,200 payment that first day of school, again for all staff. November 4th, $1,000 for all staff. That's the end of the first quarter of the 2022-23 school year. And then the final payment would be December 15th of another $1,000 for all staff. That is a significant amount of money, I believe, in line with the reason this grant's come about, is to stabilize and allow us to stabilize our staff. What we've seen, I've already seen even in the few months we've been back, is some dramatic changeover. It's not necessarily our certified staff, it's those 3, 4, 5 hour individual support staff that are in food service, that are in transportation, that are RAs. And hopefully this would, over a year's period, will encourage them to stay with us and to stabilize that hiring process. Madam Chair, we recommend, a little differently with this, is this first payment is roughly $350,000. I recommend that this be paid out of our reserve until we can get approval of the ESSER 3 grant. And at that time, we reimburse the reserve.
ourselves.
Mr. Wheeler and myself spent some time at the Wyoming School Boards with other districts that are doing something similar. I think one out of ESSER 2 was $1,000 a quarter. I think this actually lends itself better to a retention than that kind of system. So probably a lot of questions involved in all of this. But in terms of the percentage, 20% set aside for students in need, 23% set aside for our staff. That allows 60% really of those funds, which is significant, to really look at meaningful consultation with those funds. Not avoiding the idea that as an administrative team, we've already had that consultation, and I think it's our responsibility to do this. So we recommend approval of that payment on December 15th. Any questions?
It's pretty straightforward. Okay, is there a motion to approve the proposed ARP Esser Fund allocation plan with the first payment coming out of the document?
Yeah.
We'll do the document.
Yeah, I will make a motion to approve. Yeah, I will make a motion to approve the retention plan as proposed, with the first payment being reimbursable out of the general funds.
Second.
Any further
So
discussion?
it is this plan,
It
not, that's what I'm saying, not the plan that's in the
Yeah, right.
agenda item, so that,
Yep.
yes, so just
Didn't have time.
So- I know, that's what I'm saying, so everybody's aware that it is
All staff.
all staff and
I will
not
change
full-time.
that tomorrow and it'll go out. I'm going to do a podcast and explain this to the staff along with the other discussion we had in terms of their significant consultation. Because they're truly the key. They're the ones in the trenches that know ways that we can spend some money to improve our education for kids. I'm looking forward to their feedback.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Merry Christmas.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Okay, down to our audit report.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I recommend that you approve the audit report as presented earlier.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, so down to approval of the comments and responses to comments, notice to adopt the rules for July 27th, 2021?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the latest one.
Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'd like to just have a few comments before you guys make a decision on the direction you want to go with this. I believe the board has bent over backwards to listen to this community and the community members and the concerns that have been expressed by the minority, a small minority. We have really done our due diligence to do this right. The challenge that we faced, and we still face, is this idea of the Wyoming Administrative Procedure Act, which is meant for state agencies. We're a local agency. We don't report to the governor or the attorney general.
We're a body politic. That's not an agency of the state.
So anyway, we've been down that path. We've been careful, and what the public does not see, we've been challenged legally in court, and we've gone back and started over several times. But what they do not see is the number of times we said, no, let's expand it, let's wait, let's go for another hearing. They haven't seen that part because we wanted to do this right. My concern is that we've listened, we've adapted, we've changed. But those that are opposed to this, I don't think it matters what we do. It doesn't matter what our training number of hours will be required. It doesn't matter what our trainers' requirements are. It doesn't matter the ammunition we use. They're opposed to guns and guns in school. They will never come to the point where they'll be okay with policy CKA. They are continuing to have procedural issues. That's what they've taken to court. We have won on some of those court battles, and we have lost on some of those court battles. But every time the board came back and said, let's try again and do this right. That's the part that's frustrating to me. Madam Chair, we still want to do that again. Let's step back and do this right. My recommendation tonight is that we table this for another month. Allow other comments to be put in the record, and that we do this right. Just continuing, the multiple legal actions have all been based on procedure. My concern with that is how many times can we be taken to court because of procedural issues of the minority opinion? It's obvious that this is a majority opinion of the board and this community that we move forward with this. I guess it can be challenged procedurally as many times as they choose, but at some point, the real question has to be asked by this group. It's not what we're doing or how we're doing it. It is this constitutional at the state level that allows 21.3.132, the statute, allows school districts to do this, which we are in good faith trying to do that, which is legal. So the challenges, I believe, need to be at the state level and stop picking on little procedures, because we have done everything in our power to read and study. The idea that there is not ample evidence There is no evidence in terms of specific empirical research that looks into a Wyoming school district following CKA. There's none. There are position papers and positions stated that they're not research. You can put all the numbers together, and as expressed in the past by this board, you can interpret them in different ways. We've been accused of wasting money. The waste has come from the legal challenge that have challenged the procedures, not the legality of our ability to do this. And we can continue to try again, to cover the bases, answer the questions. We will never convince a certain group that this is okay. They are delaying it, seems to me, is their tactic. Challenge the state and the constitutionality of this statute and let the district move forward is my request, I guess. In the paper today, there was an article that talked about schools as sensitive places. I brought that up before, and I agree 100%. We have not changed the position that schools are sensitive positions. Society has. I just think it's a little unfair to ask our teachers and employees to stand and protect our kids with no tools and no opportunities to defend them. That's what we're asking. Do we change the nature of a school in a sensitive place by allowing someone that has been adequately trained to carry a concealed weapon? Our schools are extremely sensitive places, and we treat our kids extremely well. I'm proud of what we do in those sensitive places. It is not us that has changed. It is our society. We understand the tragedy in Michigan. I see it very differently than individuals that are opposed to guns. It's a scary proposition and one that we have little control over. We better do what we can to protect our students and our staff. We're not forcing anyone to do this. We are following the law, and we've taken 4 years to make sure that we've covered our bases. And I'm proud of the board in covering their bases. And I'm going to ask one more time, let's table this, cover all our bases. Let's do it right. No reason to hide all the work that we've put into this. And that's my recommendation, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. So I'll entertain a motion regarding the comments and the response to the comments to our notice.
I appreciate what Mr. Thomas said. I appreciate the fact that we want to make sure that we do it right. As much as I would like to vote on this tonight, having been here throughout, I appreciate that we want to put our ducks in a row. Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we continue this item until the next board meeting.
Second.
And allow the record to be updated.
Okay, we have a first and we have a second. Any discussion?
Well, I appreciate Jamie. I know how much you wanted to send this away on your last day, and I appreciate, again, your wisdom and making that recommendation that we take a step back, push it back 1 month, and then we'll get this thing done, and we move forward, so.
Okay, any other discussion?
The only other thing I'd like to say is, I think all of us as board members have, throughout this 4-year process, articulated the reasons why we believe that this is the right course of action for this district. I think that, as we saw in Michigan, and we see this a lot in Wyoming, the argument against the policy because the kids are going to get their hands on gun from school is disingenuous at best. Kids are going to get the guns from the parents and from home. They're very accessible here, just as they were to this child in Michigan. What we want to do is to make sure that when those kids get the guns from home, we have the ability to protect the rest of the students. And that's why this policy is important.
Any other comments? Okay, all in favor of continuing this until our next board meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so this will be continued. So down to approval of the rule of CKA and all of its accessories.
Well, that would be, isn't that what we just
We
continued?
just kind of did.
Yeah, we just continued that one.
We continued
I
that
thought
too,
she was
so.
just doing the comments.
Oh, yeah, we have to approve the comments.
So we continued approval of the comments.
Oh, okay.
Which
So
we
then we also
tabled.
have a separate item, which is approve Rule CKA.
Oh, yeah, no, I would make a motion that we also continue the approval of the policy until the comments
Okay.
can be approved.
Okay. Is
But
there
we
a
can do
second?
both of those at the next board meeting.
Yeah. we can do
Yeah,
both
we
of
can
them.
move that. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we'll move that on.
Okay, Madam Chair, members of the board, as soon as those comments are updated, they will be on the website, and I'll make sure that you are noted that they're there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, down to ratification of our students' discipline.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I recommend that you approve the student discipline that was discussed in executive session.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the student discipline as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Second?
First by Mr. Wheeler, second by Jenny. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that is approved. Okay, for a board meeting schedule. So I know Mr. Thomas had recommended that we potentially move this to our next meeting as well, but we can definitely approve it tonight if we wanted to. So I'll entertain a motion.
Problem of not approving it. It's not any different than we've done any other years. It's pretty straightforward. I don't think,
I'll entertain a motion either way.
I don't think another board member is going to care if we
It
tweak
took
it
me
or
half the
not.
year to figure it out anyway.
I say just approve it.
Make the motion.
You're gonna make the motion?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
to Approve it? Okay.
Make a motion to approve
The schedule. Yes.
Sorry, yes, that.
Okay.
As is.
As is.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we'll go ahead and move forward with the schedule as we have it already. Okay, down to approve an amount not to exceed EHS soccer, football, track, and renovations.
So, I guess discussions on this. Can I discuss it before we're moved?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so
Sure.
I guess where is the exact line? Is it's the $3 million? That's what we are approving, right? Not to exceed is it $3 million at this point?
You're authorizing the district to expend those funds on
Expend.
this project. Actually, you're authorizing, I'm your agent.
Yes, okay.
And I guess the only thing I can tell you is I'm not going to make that decision by myself.
Yeah, so
So the motion is to approve
yes, so-
him to,
Yeah, so I will make a motion that we authorize the superintendent to proceed with the repairs of the football field and the track in an amount not to exceed $3 million.
Okay,
second.
second. Any other discussion on that? On the track,
Soccer field, 22 years or whatever it
Is
is.
there any opposed to that?
No, I again, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so there you go. Okay, property insurance renewal.
Joel, I can't find it on my board.
That's okay. I will make a motion that we approve the bid for the property insurance as presented by Mr. Williams.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that passes. Board round table.
Don't make me cry.
It's gonna happen.
Madam Chair, can I go first?
Yes, please.
Please do.
I'd like to award to the board this Standard of Excellence Award that we received at Wyoming School Board.
Wow.
It's for the entire board. Again, nice job. representing the service that you guys have provided for the 2021 school year. And also, I'd like to present this to ex-chairman Jamie Brackett for her service as a school board trustee from December 16th to December 2001. Thank you for your service.
Yep.
See, I didn't try users.
I have one comment, is that we were also awarded the same distinction for the 2021 year. They just didn't have the plaque, and so they will, I think they're going to try and make a trip to come present it to us
Oh, wow.
at some point.
Okay, nice.
We're going to make them.
Yes, we are.
Probably in January.
Yeah.
Nice to be recognized for being an outstanding board. It's been my pleasure to serve with all of you. This is terrible.
Yeah, no crying, no crying.
It's a bittersweet thing. I mean, I've been here a long time, and obviously known you, a lot of you, for a very long time, and it's, we've I think done some great work together, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done. And I want to thank all of the staff and the administration, and just say thank you and go forward and keep doing good things. I can't quit crying. Even though I'm really excited, I can't quit crying.
You need to be really excited. You're moving on to great things too.
Yeah, the idea of packing the house is a little daunting, but
Anybody else have anything to share?
Well, I'd like to thank Jamie. I mean, wow. Learned so much from you, being next to you. The little pinches underneath the desk every once in a while put me in line. But thank you, and congratulations on your new opportunity, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, and ditto, I appreciate everything you've done, Jamie. It's been a pleasure working with you. And I appreciate Ryan's comments on CKA. I do want to make a correction, though. We have done things correctly from the beginning.
Every time.
We have done it right, and I like the point that you brought up about procedural, because that's all it's been. And I will go back to exactly what I said, frivolous lawsuits. And that's all this has been, just to delay the process. But we have done it right from the beginning, and we made sure we did it right from the beginning.
Well, I think we'll be done. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'd like just take 1 second.
Sure,
if I
please
could.
do.
I would sleep
I was
at
gonna look at
the,
that
sleep
one,
at the
but maybe I
wheel
didn't
here.
see you.
Sleep at the wheel.
I just wanted to comment on the state board meeting that Superintendent Thomas and I attended. And being new, I had not really any expectations. I didn't know what to expect, but it was very well done. They worked very hard. Even though they worked very hard to make sure that we voted via our phone, that never did work. And so we had to resort just to the raise your paddle. But 3 things I took away from it. One is that COVID is a real issue, has been, and is going to continue to be that. But we have some funds, and there's some good things that our district has done, and have the support of those folks, and it's going to be something that we will conquer. One of the issues that I hadn't thought about, but was the gender issue, is going to be, I'm sure there will be discussions that will probably may keep us into the wee hours at times in how to deal with it, but it's something that's there and needs to be dealt with. But I think the most concerning thing that I came away with it was the danger of our own state legislature as to their ideas and how they want to fund education. I find that extremely disturbing. They spent lots of money on a model, and they don't want to follow the model. which makes no sense. So I think we have to be real diligent with our legislators to make sure that they don't control class size, they don't control curriculum, they don't control salaries, they don't control activities. And I think it's going to be a fight, because that's what they want to do. And so I think that's the daunting thing that we have to look at and be prepared to face. But other than that was great, and they did a good job, and so I would encourage other board members, if you have a chance to attend, it's worthwhile. And one of the districts that they have for the state that we are part of is a lady in Lyman, and she is not going to run again. So when we get some more information about it, I'd like our board.
Is that Sue?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's decided to step down, so.
Is that going to make you change your mind?
So it would
No, but
be.
I think Dan would be great in that spot, is what I'm saying.
So anyway, I just appreciate the time, and it was a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you for representing us.
Yeah.
It was great that you could go.
Best thing, there was no snow.
Don't stop.
You could have gone, Cassie.
Yeah.
Yeah, my kid didn't have a birthday that same day. Anybody else like to share anything tonight?
Just ditto. Thank you very much, Jamie, for everything. And Ryan, your comments were spot on tonight. I appreciate them very, very much. And then, thank you very much, John, for another excellent audit. You're phenomenal.
Always.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything from our student representative?
Thank you, JB, for setting such a great example for me. I haven't been here as long as the rest of you, obviously, but in the short time I've gotten to know you, you've really shown me what I should be trying to aspire to be like in my life.
You're gonna make me cry. Stop saying nice things. I'm not used to it.
I won't say thank you again.
Thanks, Cassie.
Anybody else have anything? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, there is.
Would that be by you? I would second that.
Second by Dave. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good night.
Night.
Oh, I should, congratulations.
Yes.
Got me off the guard. Hey.